So with the news of the payment pause being extended, the fate of wide-scale student loan cancellation seems to be a bit unclear now. Will the extension pave the way for wide-scale student loan cancellation, or will it be the beginning of the end? But despite that though, billions of student loans have already been cancelled by the Biden administration, and that's what we're going to look in this video because you might have been a recipient of it and you just don't know it yet. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Dred and I post personal finance and dividend investing videos, and currently I am documenting my journey in paying off my student loans. So if you're interested in seeing how everything unfolds, or just want to show your support, then please consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and also sharing this video. Now with that out of the way, let's get back to the main thing. So the Biden administration has been tackling student loan cancellation, not in a wide-scale manner though, but in a more targeted approach. The very first instance in which Biden has enacted some form of student loan cancellation was back in March of this year. 72,000 student loan borrowers who have filed borrower's defense claims have benefited in $1 billion in loan cancellation. Under former Education Secretary Betsy DeVos's formula, approved student loan claims only received partial forgiveness. And then under Trump's administration, they made it harder for claimants to get approved because of increased documentation, asking for more definitive proof that their schools knowingly engaged in any misconduct. But upon being appointed as Education Secretary, Miguel Cardona and the department had determined that the previous methodology did not result in an appropriate relief determination. Borrowers deserve a simplified and fair path to relief when they have been harmed by their institution's misconduct, said Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona. A close review of these claims and the associated evidence showed these borrowers have been harmed, and we will grant them a fresh start from their debt. Now, the second time that student loans were canceled was at the end of March, and this one helped student loan borrowers with total and permanent disabilities, or TPD. According to the announcement, this action will help more than 230,000 borrowers. More than 41,000 of these borrowers who had $1.3 billion in loans reinstated will now get their discharges back, have any payments made during the COVID-19 emergency refunded, and will not be asked to submit earnings documentation. The other 190,000 borrowers who remain in their monitoring period will not be asked to submit earnings documentation. These income monitoring requirements will be waived for the duration of the COVID-19 emergency. 41,000 student loan borrowers have been helped, while the remaining 190,000 are still in their monitoring period. The fate of their student loans being cancelled is still up in the air because the income monitoring requirements being waived is highly dependent on the length of the pandemic. If a decision were to be made that we are not in a COVID-19 emergency anymore, they may not qualify for that waiver. But I believe that that is changing, so make sure to stick around in this video. Anyway, $1.3 billion is a huge help to 41,000 student loan borrowers with disabilities. And with that, the total amount of student loans canceled is now to $2.3 billion. The third time that student loans were canceled was back on June, and this one helps student loan borrowers who have filed claims in borrower's defense. I've made a video about this one a couple of months back already, so I'm going to link it here so that you can watch it in full detail. But anyway, here's the summary. The US Department of Education has approved 18,000 borrowers' defense claims from those who have attended ITT Technical Institute, which ceased its operations in 2016. That for-profit college was seriously riddled with a lot of lawsuits, so it wasn't exactly a surprise anymore that they would get shut down. While student loan cancellation through borrower's defense have already started back in March, what's really significant about this cancellation is the approval of claims under two new categories. First is misleading students about their employment prospects after graduation, and the second one is misleading students into thinking that they can actually transfer their credits from their school to another. The Education Department has found that ITT was in violation of those and have approved the claims of more than 18,000 borrowers defrauded by ITT. And with that, the total student loans canceled now is $2.8 billion. Now, the fourth time that student loans were canceled was back on July, and this one also helps student loan borrowers who have filed borrower's defense. On July 9, the Education Department has announced the approval of 1,818 borrower defense claims from three schools: Westwood College, Marinello Schools of Beauty, and the Court Reporting Institute. These three schools are now included in the list of approved borrower claims alongside Corinthian Colleges, ITT Technical Institute, and American Career Institute. For Westwood College, the department has found that they had the same violations as ITT Technical Institute, where they misled students about the ability to transfer credits, and they also made false claims that their criminal justice program would actually lead to careers as police officers. 1,600 claims claims were approved, representing $53 million in student loan relief. For Marianello Schools of Beauty, the department has found that they made widespread substantial misrepresentations about the instruction that would be offered at its campuses across the country. Former students consistently claimed that the school even failed to train them about key elements of a cosmetology program, such as how to cut hair. There are even times in which the school would actually leave its students for weeks or even months without any instructor. Because of that, students found it hard to complete required licensing tests and receive any return on their educational investment. 200 claims were approved, representing $2.2 million in student loan relief. And lastly, for the Court Reporting Institute, the department found that from 1998 through its 2006 closure, the Court Reporting Institute made widespread, substantial misrepresentations about the time it would take to complete its court reporting program. The majority of CRI students were never able to complete the court reporting program and therefore could not become court reporters. Data and evidence also showed that only 2 to 6% graduated from CRI, and those who have graduated took a longer time to complete the program than what CRI claimed. 18 claims were approved, representing around $340,000 in student loan relief. And with that, this brings the total amount of student loans canceled to around $2.86 billion. The fifth and most recent time that student loans were canceled was in August, and this one helped again student loan borrowers with total and permanent disabilities. The US Department of Education has announced on August 19 that over 323,000 student loan borrowers with total and permanent disabilities will receive student loan relief of around $5.8 billion. This cancellation were all thanks to a new regulation announced on the same day. The change will apply to borrowers who are identified through an existing data match with the Social Security Administration. It will begin with the September quarterly match with SSA. The department is also announcing 2 other policy items related to TPD today. First, the department will indefinitely extend the policy announced in March to stop asking these borrowers to provide information on their earnings, a process that results in the reinstatement of loans if and when borrowers do not respond beyond the end of the national emergency. Second, the department will then pursue the elimination of the 3-year monitoring period required under current regulations during the negotiated rulemaking that will begin in October. The 2 policies are helping student loan borrowers to get easier access to student loan cancellation. Those with total and permanent disabilities do not need to provide their income documentation anymore, and the 3-year monitoring period will also be removed. However, one thing to keep in mind though is this: all discharges will be free from federal income taxation, but there may be some state income tax consequences. Borrowers will be and are encouraged to consult their state's tax office to understand whether this discharge will be considered income under their state's tax code. While this relief is tax-free on the federal level, it may be taxed under the state level. To some, this may be a concern because those who are totally or permanently disabled have a hard time finding a stable income. And this is why the department is actually encouraging people to contact or consult their state's tax office right away. But anyway, the total now of student loans canceled by the Biden administration is $8.7 billion. So there you go, that is the current tally for the amount of student loans canceled by the Biden administration, $8.7 billion. Around $1.6 billion of that was canceled through borrower defense, while the remaining 7.1 has been canceled for those with total and permanent disabilities. To be honest though, I don't know what groups will be targeted next because there hasn't been any hints regarding that. I think these 2 groups were taken care of first because there's a system in place already. I think the department is going to use these 2 groups as a template for whatever group they're targeting next so that they can actually do it better. Now, in regards to wide-scale cancellation, if you actually look at where this trend is going, there seems to be a higher chance that it won't happen at all. Those who have been defrauded by their schools and those who have total and permanent disabilities seem to be the most logical recipients for cancellation because they became disadvantaged by their situation. But if you feel like you're part of one of those 2 groups, then I highly recommend that you take action immediately. I'll put some links in my description below for resources to get you started. So if you feel like you've been defrauded by your school, then definitely check out the borrower defense program so you might be able to get your student loans discharged. If you have a total or permanent disability, you may qualify as well to have your student loans canceled through TPD discharge. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this entire video. If you got to this very end, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And if you have any questions or anything for me, comment them down below because I'd love to answer those for you. Now, if I can't answer your questions, at least I'll be able to point you in the right direction. And by the way, if you found value in this video, please do consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and also sharing this video to a friend of yours or a family member of yours who may be part of this group or who needs to watch this right now. This is very big news and it pertains to your student loans, and it will really help you get ahead financially. And by the way, I am on Instagram at DailyDread. Please add me there so that we can chat, collaborate, and exchange some ideas. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.